So, remember that one time I reviewed the 1936 cult classic Reefer Madness? Well, let's just say I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it. Apparently, around 1998, Reefer Madness got remade into a musical. And apparently this musical was so popular that a 2005 American made-for-television movie was made about it. Yeah, that's right. We have a movie based upon a musical, based upon a cult film. So, big question is, did this cult classic really need to be remade into the form of a musical? So, for the plot of Reefer Madness, the movie musical, I don't really think I need to give a plot synopsis to this, since it is literally a musical remake of Reefer Madness. But to refresh those who forget what Reefer Madness was about, it's about this teacher who's telling this group of teachers and parents about the evils of marijuana by telling this tragic story about how two students got killed because of the usage of marijuana. And in terms of what I liked about the movie has a decent budget for a freaking TV-made movie. Now, granted, I do realize that this was made for stars, but again, for a TV-made movie, it has a pretty decent budget from the costuming, the dance moves, the cinematography, the soundtrack. So, on a technical level, it's good. And the acting, it's over the top, but it's meant to be over the top. And also, I like how this movie makes fun of the original Reefer Madness, because with the original Reefer Madness movie, if you remember, it started out as an educational film, but the guy who later took over that movie decided to add some scenes and later turned it into an exploitation movie. And most of the facts about marijuana in that movie were made up. Like, the people didn't even bother doing research on marijuana. Case in point, in that movie they pretty much said, like, oh, reefer is worse than heroin. In this movie, they make fun of that, where they're like, oh, you sure it's not the other way around? And, you know, they play with it for a bit. And this movie has something going for it that the other one doesn't have. Besides this movie having a decent budget, it also has zombies, a goat man, Jesus, Joan of Arc, and a pretty decent cast of actors. Now, I'm not going to go through all the actors, but the three that stood out to me the most were Kirsten Bell, who you may recognize from films such as Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Frozen, to Alan Cumming, who you may recognize from films such as Titus, GoldenEye, the Spy Kids movies, and X-Men 2, X-Men United, to the freaking Crypt Keeper, like the voice actor who played the Crypt Keeper, and they do all their parts really well. In terms of what I disliked about the movie, I get that this movie's a musical and there's bound to be a shitload of musical numbers, but there's not enough breathing space between each musical number. It's pretty much when one ends, the next one begins. Also, there's one musical number that doesn't really make much sense. Now, granted, I do like this musical number, but let me give you the setup. Basically, you have like the teachers and the parents getting attacked by zombies. Now, the zombies was not what threw me off. It's the fact that all the parents and teachers die because of the zombies. Then, like, one scene later, they're all fine. And it's like the zombie attack never even happened. So, why throw that in there? I don't know. It just confused me as all hell. Also, I'm kind of disappointed with the drug dealer in this movie, because with the original Reefer Madness, the drug dealers in question looked like gangsters, and there was more than one of them. In this movie, there's only one drug dealer. Granted, he does look like a gangster, but again, there's only one of him. And I never really saw the purpose as to why they needed to remake this movie into a musical. Because I think they would have been fine as just like a satire remake. Granted, the musical aspect of it is what makes it unique, but I could have done without the musical bits. And there are just some scenes that just really added nothing to the story. So for my final verdict of Reefer Madness the musical, on one hand, I didn't think this movie really needed to exist. But hey, if movies like Evil Dead and King Kong can have their own musicals, I guess anything goes. As far as the movie goes, I do think it's entertaining. It's just, I only remember about 2 out of the 20-something musical numbers that were in the film, but I do find the film to be enjoyable and an improvement over Reefer Madness. So before I give my final rating, what did everyone else have to say about Reefer Madness, the movie musical? Looks like the movie got about average ratings, and for my final rating of Reefer Madness the musical, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. So, what's your favorite musical, and see you later.